Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Den. It's been a minute, but I'm so glad to be back, and I'm so glad that my first guest back is a good friend, a good teacher, first teacher, then friend. Well, I guess you were my friend then too, because you kept me out a lot of bees at home. But nevertheless, I am so honored to be able to sit here. I bet you never thought this day was coming, huh? To sit across and have an interview.
Not like this, that's for sure.
But I would like, to the ones who don't know and the ones that know, to introduce you to Marianna Mayoral candidate, Clyde Noel. How are you?
I'm fine, and feel very proud of the opportunity to even run for mayor because this is my hometown, and I have a lot of passion for my hometown, and I want to see great things happen because I grew up in a time when we had much more, and we had more emphasis on community than we have right now, and so it's very, very important to try to get back to those values and try to get the generation now to feel some of the same things that we grew up with.
Because it's definitely a different time.
Oh yeah.
You know, Marianna is just not the same when I come home. Because back in the 80s, of course I was here back in the 80s, not to give away ages.
Yeah, that's true. That's for sure.
But it was just a whole different vibe, and the vibe here has definitely changed. And I would love to see my hometown get back to what, I remember it being.
Well, one of the things, you're never going to get back to that until you can get some economical progress. And that goes back with being able to have investments in your community. And the thing about the investments in your community goes back to the level of education that the community appreciates and values. You have to value education in order to progress and gain benefits from education. So that's something that this community used to thrive off, and that was to make certain that the resources of the community were put in the best position, that then kids left here with the ambition of going to college, or if not going to college, that they saw something different from just trying to stay in this region and trying to make themselves productive citizens.
You touched on so many things that we're definitely going to talk about tonight, with this evening. And so, but we're going to start, I want to know what inspired you to run for mayor.
Well, the thing about putting myself in position to run for mayor is that after I had retired years ago, some people had come to me and asked me the possibility of running, and I really wanted to stay out of politics because that's a touchy field. But at the same time, some of the directions that we were headed in, I think that my insight, being a native of this community, knowing what this community was and knowing what this community can be, is one of the reasons that influenced me with the passion to actually want to run for mayor of this community.
Okay, so you have the passion to run for mayor, but what experience have prepared you to hold that office? Okay,
now the thing about it, people say, well, you haven't been in politics, but the mayor of this community is a very, very important position because, again, you're dealing with the lives of individuals and the emphasis on things like that. Now, when you talk about my experiences, being a long-time educator, I understand the value of education. So, and at one point, I served as interim superintendent of the district. So, the interim superintendent of the district gave me some insight as to what it takes to lead. But being a head football coach, basically the same thing. You have to put yourself in a position of authority at the same time. Put yourself in position to have a understanding of how things operate. And my administrative experience, I was also principal at a high school, and during the time that I first took over as principal at high school, we were going through some trying times out there at the high school, and we were able to, that first year, sort of bring things back into focus. And there were times when people came to the district and it was so quiet in the building, they were wondering, say, well, are there any kids here? Are we having school today? I said, of course we are. because we had a focus. We had a focus on education, and so I definitely value education and the importance of putting people in a better position to improve the quality of life that they might have in our community.
Okay, so given that you have a vision for the city, and of course education seems like it is very important to you, and to get our school system back to what it used to be. But what is your vision for the city? If you just so happen to win this election over the next 4 years, what is your main vision?
My main vision is to try to bring our citizens together. Now, we're not going to always ever going to be on the same accord, but we can do so much better with what we have. We have small budgets. We're financially strapped in instance for the community, but see, what you have, you can do as well as you can with what you have. See, it's not how much you have, it's what you do with what you have. And see, the thing is, like reflecting back to the times that I worked as a coach and as an administrator. I mean, I worked at a disadvantage so much that I know what it's like to work at a disadvantage, understaffed, underfunded, but at the same time having a end goal. And that end goal for this community is to try to make this community the best community that it can be. Now, is everybody on board with that? Absolutely not. But the thing is, you can at least try to show them a better form of life and a better way of doing things. And eventually, some people catch on.
So, I was definitely going to talk about community engagement later on, but since you already touched on it, we can jump right in it. Do you have a plan to bring the community together? Will you be working with local, churches, city leaders?
Well, the thing is, obviously, you have to identify where the power is in the community. And see, first of all, if you can identify where the power is in the community, and most of the power is individuals, the individual that has the power in the community, and then being able to get everybody to see the same thing. Now, are you going to always hit the same thing? Absolutely not. But to see, having a vision and having individuals that are like-minded, people that want to have a growth instead of constantly being concerned about taking things in the direction they want to. It's important to have people to understand, listen, we need to go forward. And the only way that you're going to go forward is that you have to do some compromising, you have to do some reevaluating, and most of all, just having an end goal. And you talk about the churches. I mean, we have a number of churches and we have individuals, but you see, it's not always about all the people that's in the churches, although they are important and they have a different focus. But the community people, period. One of the things that we did when we were the superintendent during that time is that we tried to show everybody that they had value. And I think a lot of the staff, they tell me about, they talk about that now. They say, well, when you were superintendent, one of the things you did, you came around, you checked to see what we needed, and then you at least did things in a way that it was beneficial to everybody. Now, being beneficial to everyone is very, very important. Now, will everybody get the same thing? Absolutely not. Will everybody have a feeling of dignity placed in front of them? You have a choice now. Now, that goes back to choices. If you have an opportunity, it's incumbent on you to take advantage of your opportunity. You see, people can always lay things out for you, but it's your responsibility to try to do the things that is necessary, that the path that they have laid in front of you. Now, do you have to go straight down the path that they put in front of you? Now, sometimes we don't. We take veers or we take side roads, but then eventually you come back to that very, very important part of trying to get to the place that you need to arrive.
Okay, so when you're dealing with the community, when you have a community engagement, do you plan on somehow allowing the community to inform the community on your decision making? And if so, how would you go about that?
Well, you're talking about a degree of transparency.
Right.
Okay, now that's something else. You see, decisions can't be to the point where everybody has a voice, everybody has an opinion. But the thing is, what is most important for the community? Now, can you do everything that you want? That depends on how much finance you have available. Now, finance, being in a community that's strapped for finance, resources, that means that you're going to have some other sources to make this possible.
Right.
And so then you have to build relationships outside of this community in order to try to pull resources in the community in order to make this a better community. See, the quality of life is what my focus is on, making certain that we improve the quality of life. Now, when it comes to the appearance of the city, now that's something that we can definitely take care of, but each individual, now that's where every individual in the city can be responsible for that. Because see, if we as a city just don't continue to let things go, and if we start being responsible, take a commitment. Now that's what I'm talking about, a commitment. See, that commitment has to come from individuals that say, hey, look, we can do better than this. Right. And so we're going to try to emphasize to individuals that everything is about a mindset. Just like it takes a mindset to say, I don't care. It takes a mindset to say that, yes, I care. And then the more people that we can get to the point to say, hey, I care about Marianna, then I think we'll see the progress of it. Now, is that a slow-moving train? Yes, it is. But at the same time, you don't give up on that focus. And then the more you stay on the positive side, those are the kind of things that you're talking about with moving a moral compass. If I have a better understanding of what it is that I need to do, if I stay on that path and stay off of that narrow path over there where it has nothing beneficial to it, and try to stay centered. Staying centered is very, 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 very important. And then the more people we can bring towards center, guess what? We got a better community.
So, I love that answer, by the way. But I do have a question now. What do you think is the biggest issue that is facing Marianna today? Give me one.
Well, when you start talking about concerns, I believe the biggest concern is that people tend not to trust. They tend not to trust because they don't see where someone has been taking their concerns to bat. Okay. And see that's where I want to do. I want to take people's concerns to bat, and see, just like every individual has something different that's bothering them.
Sure.
Now, can we solve every individual problem? Absolutely not. But we can at least try to make certain that if it fits within the priorities that we have laid out, then we can resolve some issues for somebody. Now, the main thing that that I hear they talk about is things not being done on my street. My garbage is not being taken care of. Now, again, see, let's look at what resources we have. See, I'm aware of the lack of equipment that it takes, because 4 years ago, when the present mayor was coming into position, and she was trying to get some things done, and see, everybody doesn't understand. Without the resources, very little can be done. But you see, even if you don't have state-of-the-art equipment, you can still get something done. It's just like when we talk about education. Years ago, we didn't have state-of-the-art everything, but the commitment that the teachers had, the commitment that the parents had, the commitment that the students had to learning is what made the difference. And so those are the kind of things you have to get people to see. The importance of being committed. It's not, you can't just put the words out there. You're going to have to put some work out there. And see, those are the kind of things that I'm familiar with, and I know about work. Because again, as a coach, hey, every year that I went out there and I was trying to get a team together. There were years that we had good teams and decent teams, and there were times that we didn't have what we needed. But then again, we were working shorthanded. And see, when you're working shorthanded and you're working against the odds, then it's so much harder. But the thing about it is that if that commitment and then getting other people to see, there were times when we just didn't believe. And so that goes back to believing. And we know how to believe. We know how to have faith. We know how to work. And so that's what I can bring to the table. I can bring a work ethic to this community that I know that I've already used in so many other times. So all I got to do now is continue to work. Now, the thing that my work, what I have to do is convince others that the work that we need to do, we can do all this together. So we are important in the sense of trying to make certain that we get some things done.
Okay, so you touched on the infrastructure of the city, and when I come home, I see, Marianna just don't look the same. When I was growing up, people took care of property. Marianna, I was proud to be here. I was proud to be a part of the community.
Okay.
And I see a lot of abandoned homes, abandoned properties, overgrown properties that give the community just a sore eye. Okay. So do you have a plan or a plan that you can share?
Well, the thing is, the present mayor has been trying to resolve the abandoned properties. But see, that's something that's been going on for years. Now, can I come in here and just bring everything back to life? Absolutely. Now, one of the things that you said, a key word that you used was abandoned. Abandoned means that there's nobody there. Abandoned means that it has not been taken care of. See, we have people, and it's just not in Marianna. You can go to Little Rock, you can go to any other neighboring city. You have people that have left areas, and when they leave an area, then their properties are not being taken care of. Now, the state has a plan where if that property has not been taken care of, or the taxes has not been paid on that particular property parcel, then it reverts back to the state. Now, a lot of households that are abandoned is because when people leave here, they just don't care about what they left. Out of sight, out of mind. Now, then you have a code enforcer that works to try to make certain that he identifies who owns what, and that code enforcer works and try to work with it. And then, but there have been times that you have your hands are tied when it comes to dealing with abandoned property or property that has not been kept up. So it's a process that has to come into play. And like I say, starting in this present administration, they cleaned up several different abandoned properties, but there are additional other properties that need that same amount of care and attention. So we have issues, and then again, okay, when you were in school in well, we'll get it back to the 80s. We'll say the 80s again. All right. Now the 80s. Now you're in a completely different time. We're 25 years into 2000. So again, that time span of what was taken care of back then and the time was been taken care of again. How many people have left this area? You yourself left this area. Now you still have a connection by you have some family here. Now think about people that have zero family here that were once lived here. You can think of people that lived around you that are away from here that might still have property here. But at the same time, if they don't have additional family here, they don't come back here. And see, right up the street from you, you have people that have property, but then through the course of time, everyone does not have the resources to take care of that property. They have to get in position to take care of that property. And so that's one of the things that you have to do. Now, do you have forever? Absolutely not. But there are still ways to improve what we have. And I would believe that the government is going to start doing things for areas just like us. You know, it might have to be at a different time than it is right now. But at the same time, I can think about it back during the time when urban renewal. I can remember Marianna looked a lot different than it looks right now until urban renewal came in. You know, public housing was built, and that gave people pride, and that made a difference in not only Marianna but around the entire United States. But you see, that came from an administration that saw the need for improving what we had. You know, I heard a story about John Kennedy in the 60s came to Arkansas, and he saw the deplorable conditions of the state of Arkansas. And they say he cried. He cried. He wept just like Jesus did when he saw things that he knew was out of place. Because see, John Kennedy was a person of privilege, and he understood. But when he was running for president, he came into Arkansas during the time as an administrator. He came in Arkansas and he saw, and he just could not believe. Because see, in Massachusetts, they have a completely different. You don't have what was seen and what people were, the conditions that people were living in Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, but the South.
The Delta.
Well, the Delta. Now, in the larger cities, you have the situations where they build the high rises. I mean, but it's same difference. Yeah. And then it changed over time. And it changed over time because we did not put the emphasis on continuing to maintain what was put in place years ago. So you talking about, I remember when, you know, very young, when the public housing first came to Marianna, and then how they came in and bulldozed some houses on certain streets here, and where these shotgun houses used to exist.
Oh, I remember.
You know, shotgun houses. Yeah. And see, you know, kids don't know what that is. Yeah. Straight house, everything from the front to the back, and you didn't actually have a hallway. You just went down. Yeah. Well, you had a hallway. Yeah. But it was very little division in that. There were no room to room, you know, situations. Coming out of one door, coming to one room, going to the other room. It went straight down the hallway. And usually the kitchen was either near the end or at the end. So those are the kind of things that we know about and we have experienced. And so see, we are in a different time. But that's why you should have the same emphasis on infrastructure. Now, will the federal government come into Marianna and just wipe out all of these unsightly properties? Absolutely not. But if they come in and put half of the effort that you're putting into other situations and then start looking at the people. Now, again, that comes from the federal government. But coming down to the local level, let's get down to the local level. Again, having a concern and a commitment to take care of what you have.
So I hear you, and what I got from that was the last part. So I think it would take a community effort to just say, let's beautify these spaces that's not, you know, even though somebody might have the resources to just do it. Well, you know, because I know when I was growing up, it wasn't always about, you know, how much stuff cost, or, you know, they used, my parents and parents of other friends that grew up with me used the barter system a lot.
Well, now you again, now you're talking about community.
Yes, you said community have to come together and get on one accord.
That's what I'm saying. See, but again, as individuals and as people and as wherever people live. See, that's like the village.
Exactly. Yes.
Back then, you had the village, you know, and then if my neighbor had, and my neighbor realized that I didn't have, then my neighbor gave to me, right, in order and to her to help me to get through. Right. And so it's always getting to the next point. Now we have systems in place and that's where the government comes in with what they perceive as welfare, and they give to people in order to help improve them until they can get to a better day.
Right.
Now, the disadvantage of that is that they sometimes lock people into that, and so people are not able to work that way out of it. But the only way that you can work yourself out of a situation where you have been dependent on government help is that you got to go back and realize and then see again the value of education. That's why education was so important in this community, and education has always been important to me.
Okay, so I'm glad you circled back to education because I did pose a question on social media about, if you have a question that you want me to ask the upcoming or the soon-to-be or the hopeful mayor of Marianna, Clyde Noel, what question would that be? And I have it here. Okay. So I'm going to ask you that question. So some members of the community believe you played a role in opposing or stopping the efforts to pass the millage tax that would have funded improvement to the Marianna schools. How do you respond to those concerns? And looking ahead, what role do you believe the mayor should play in supporting and advocating for improvement to the local schools?
Okay, now see, you got a complex question. Now, but you see here again, I understand because see, I went through that thing about this millage campaign, and see, that was a very tense time because everybody was on edge about the passing of the millage, and forces were lined up. But let me just explain what my position was. See, because I don't think everybody even understood what my position was, and any official that's connected to any election has to be absolutely neutral. Neutral.
Okay.
Now, if somebody say, well, you voted against the millage, you don't know what I did. And because when I voted, just like, how do I know how you voted?
Right.
So you see, no one knows once you go into the curtain, but you see, I value education far too much to be against. Against the building of a new school. I mean, it hurt me in 2019 when we went through what we went through because Miss Johnson sold. Miss Johnson had everything lined up and she was trying to pass it. And see the school then would have cost about $19 million in 2019. Yeah. Now in 2026, here we are, we 3 times that amount. See, yes. Justice delayed is justice denied. And you see, had this community taken advantage of that particular time, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in right now. And you see, a lot of this infighting. See, I don't think a lot of people really understand where a lot of the fighting is going on. A lot of the fighting is going on behind the scenes. Behind the scenes where you can't actually hear or see some of the things that people are saying and doing. But the point is, I guarantee you, there are more people that want to see a new school and realize the need for a new school, me being one of them. But you see, as the election official, I couldn't come out there and say, well, hey, I'm for the millage. The only thing I could do is try to make certain that the integrity of that election was fair and transparent. But then I still get accused of something that I had no control over and nothing to do. Now, I don't think that people even realize that during that time that there were votes that were incomplete and they were provisional, put in a provisional place. But what we actually did as a commission is that we went and we located the people to make certain that their votes were counted. And see, some of these people, I knew they were definitely for the millage. And so why would I work against something that people were for and then say, well, you as an individual, well, I know you voted against, you don't know that.
Well, moving forward.
Okay, let's go.
Moving forward, and I'm so glad that you cleared that up, and I'm pretty sure that's going to shed light for a lot of people. Well, if and for the ones that want to listen, because if
they want to listen,
everybody ain't for you.
I know that.
You always going to have people that's against you. But I'm rooting for you.
Well,
you know that.
Well, you know what, April? You know what I'm looking for? I'm looking for the majority.
There it is.
I'm looking for the majority.
And that's all you need.
I'm looking for the majority.
And that's all that matters. But moving forward, you just said it. You said that you are all for a new school. So are you gonna, try to work and figure out,
Well,
you're gonna have to turn over a lot of stones, I'm pretty sure,
see,
to try to get in this school. But it's something that this community desperately needs.
well, that's true because see, our facilities are not up to par.
No.
They're definitely not up to par. And that and like I told you earlier, I know for a fact there are so many people, and you'd be surprised at the people that actually want this community to have a better school.
Just to thrive again.
But
a new school and to thrive,
Well, again, April, let me say this. Just because there was a group against that proposed millage, but you see, that proposed millage, I don't know everything about all of it, but I just know the surface things that I saw.
Okay.
And the thing that I know is that where people were opposed to that particular millage was that, and they actually had to go back and do it because the first time when it narrowly was defeated, or actually it was a tie, when they came back, one of the things that they realized that they had to do was remove some of the meals from that particular meal in order to put it back on the ballot in order to get it passed. But you see, the problem with that election, and see, there are people out there still saying things, but I guarantee you, if they really realized that the voting process was not followed the thorough completion of an absentee ballot where you have the individuals whose ballots were in question, making it a provisional ballot. Now, and a lot of these provisional ballots just could not be cured. They can't be cured because the one thing that you have to do when you submit an absentee ballot is that you have to make certain that that affidavit that's in that two envelope packet, you have to make certain that you sign your name to affirm that this is my ballot and this is how I voted that ballot. And then you take that ballot and you vote that ballot and you put it in an inside envelope and you put it in there. And it stays sealed until the night of the election count. Now, if some of that material is not visible and not seen, then guess what? You cannot count that ballot. Now, you also supposed to have an ID in there. You're supposed to have ID, a copy of your ID there. And you see, again, every individual that sent their ballots back didn't have that.
Didn't follow through. Every step was not.
Every step.
Okay.
See
So
again.
That's
once
education.
again,
Boy, you're taking the words out of my mouth.
Education.
So it sounds like we need to educate on voting processes as well, so these opportunities won't continue to pass our community by. I say our community because I feel like I'm still a part of this community.
Sure. Anytime you can stay connected to it, you are part of it. Now, the thing about counting your ballot. See, we have some people, individuals, who are a little leery of the technology. Because I mean, everybody didn't grow up around technology, and they don't feel comfortable, and they feel they don't want to appear to be incompetent, because it makes you look like you just don't know.
Yeah. So,
you just don't know.
Yeah,
You don't know that.
It,
okay, well, leave it alone. We're gonna leave it alone. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is this: they have to get relaxed. And what we tried to do with individuals that at least came in is that we tried to relax them and understand. And once they went through that process, they realized how simple it was.
Well, I can with confidence say that I think you're going to do whatever that needs to be done or try to do to make sure the education system thrive if you become mayor. Am I, good with saying that?
Let me tell you something. After I retired, I still went back and I tried to help.
Of course. I tried to help you with my grandkids just moved. I said, I'm going to need that too. You say, ain't there no more.
Well, but my point is, I care too much about education, and I know the value of education because I know the sacrifices that my parents made in order for me to get education. And then even after they helped me to get that initial degree, then I went back to school in order to get an advanced degree, and I didn't stop there. So you see, that even during the time that I was in the interim seat, my qualifications as a superintendent were just as valid as anybody else around this state, that what it took for that particular time. Now, the difference was that I had a master's degree, I had the additional certification that it took to have the additional hours above a master's degree, but the only thing that I did not have was experience as an administrator in school.
Okay.
And that was the only thing that kept me out. But then, when I was in there, I showed that I was capable of doing. I actually demonstrated that I was capable of doing what it took to be a superintendent. But you see, the thing about it, I cared more about making certain that our community advanced than I was at trying to chase a position, and wanted to put myself in a path to make certain that we as a community improved and did the things that we needed to do.
Right.
So
we're gonna pause
Okay.
for a second, just for a second.
All right.
To make sure, just take a break for a little minute.
Okay.
I need to check and make sure the equipment is still running right, and we just take a break. I got a few more questions, and we're gonna wrap things up.
All right, that's
Okay, so just take a little break for a second. You know, we'll be right back, so don't move, because this conversation is just heating up. We got a few more questions for Clyde Noel. I'm so used to calling him Coach Noel until it's unbelievable. So we're gonna pause for a second, and I'll be right back.